Chris, thank you so much for speaking to NAMPA News. I think let's start right at the beginning. I mean, looking at the back of your hanging a lot of pipes, breathers, gas cylinders, diving. That's all about diving. What is diving?
You see, diving is categorized in different categories. You know, we do sport diving. Sport diving is for recreational, it's for people that want to enjoy the underwater world. You can start from as young as 8 years old, you can start. Sports diving, recreational diving is for the whole family, so you can be big, round, small, thin. You do not have to be a professional swimmer or anything like that. So yes, it is a fun activity and it's for everybody. Unfortunately, we are not born fish, so we need equipment to keep us underwater. So the stuff you see behind me and around in this equipment room is equipment you need for diving.
Tell us about the equipment. Just speaking about the equipment, what are we talking about?
Well, the first thing you need you need air, you need something to breathe because we can't breathe underwater. So you need a cylinder and you need a regulator, which is what you put in your mouth and which you're going to breathe from. Then we also can't float, you know, so we need weights to take us down and we need a buoyancy compensator, a balloon, to take us up, you know, and that is the basics of diving. You obviously need a mask because we can't see underwater and we can't swim, so we need fins. Those will be your basic equipments that you'd be looking at when you're doing recreational scuba diving.
Obviously, there's a little bit of physical characteristics to a diver.
Yes, you have to be water-wise, which means you must be able to swim, you must be able to tread water, and you must be able to look after yourself in water. Scuba diving is 80% is in the mind, 20% is in the physics, in your physical capabilities. So you don't have to be super fit, but you must be able to swim.
Talking about safety, I mean, obviously you need a buddy or somebody to look after you. Now, just don't jump in any pool of water, lake of water, cave of water.
Quite right, you know. In diving, we work very strictly with a buddy system, which means you swim very close to your buddy, so in case you have a problem, the two of you can sort it out. In diving, your training that you will follow, you will also start off with 20 meters, 30 meters, 40. So you've got to work your way down to depth. You can't just jump in and go down to wherever you want to. You know, it's very strict, it's very controlled. You need a little license, you need a C card, you have to do a course, but still, it's all part of the fun.
Diving, we just talk about recreational diving, family diving, the underwater scenery, but now, end of the day, there's also, I think, career diving. A little bit about that, perhaps.
That's the other side of diving. You call that commercial diving. So if you want to earn big money and you want to go work offshore, you want to go and dive, you know, the oil rigs, or you want to look for diamonds, that is called commercial diving. It's a different field, it's a different ball game. Although the principles are very similar, but yes, you know, it's a T in the course or in the ladder that you climb. Either go sport or you go commercial.
Chris, as a diver, what advice can you give to young upcoming divers? I mean, it looks adventurous, looking at your pictures, looking at your footage under the water, the fishes, the cannons, everything, looking at that. Obviously, I want to start, a youngster wants to start, he wants to follow Chris's footsteps. What advice can you give him?
As I said, you know, it is, once you've been underwater and you've seen the little Nemos or you've seen the stalactites, it is definitely a wow factor, you know, and it is something special. So youngsters, please, as I said, you've got to climb the ladder. You can't just become a general. You've got to start as a troop and you work your way up, you know. So please get in contact with us, you know, and we'll guide you and we'll show you the ropes. After school, you can become a dive master. You can go to Thailand, Bali. There's a lot of places where you can work. It's basically like a tour guide, except you have a speciality, which is underwater tour guiding. It is Namibia, our coast, unfortunately, is not diveable. It's very cold, very rough. It is not nice. We do, however, have some of the most unique, you know, sinkholes and caves. But for that, you need to be technical. You need to be a technical diver. But once again, that's the little ladder you got to climb.
Is it dangerous to dive?
Not at all. You know, we have so many safeties and double safeties and triple safeties. Everything is dangerous. I think statistically it's proven that more people die on riding their bicycles than scuba diving, you know, so everything is dangerous.
Steph, thank you so much for speaking to NAMPA News. I mean, diving, Steph, one. I mean, we normally talk, if you talk about diving, you talk about Steph. If you hear Steph, you hear diving. But now you recently had a group of South Africans here in Namibia Just a little bit about the purpose of their visit and the diving.
Well, it's a club of Mayatin Scuba Club. They came and visited us for a week. We started off at Lake WHK. Well, once again, it's a little bit of technical. As soon as you go deeper than 40 meters, you need to have additional qualifications, and then it becomes a technical dive. So this is usually where you start mixing gases just to make your vision and the movability stuff decent underwater. The guys came and they visited us. We did a workup dive, as we usually tell the people to do, and we took them down to the cannons. Now, for us, it's really a nice experience to go down, but if it's your first time, it's like diving back in the time of history. The guys came out, they had smiles, they were crying, they were laughing, they had jokes, and we are so privileged to have a decent dive site like WHK with the cannons, with all the artifacts. It's a privilege, and they enjoyed it so much.
But talking now about the artifacts down there, obviously it is a protected area.
Francois, yeah, if you want to dive Lake WHK, you need to be a registered or affiliated body to Namibian Underwater Federation, which they control. I can't say control diving, but they take control on who's diving the lake. As you just mentioned, it is a Namibian government-owned area, and you need to have the right permission as well as qualification to dive there. So what we do is we apply for a permit. Once we have the permit and we comply by all the necessary needs, then only we take the people down with IDs, with photos, and a whole do's and don'ts regarding diving.
Talking about Namibian caves, the water holes, the sinkholes, why or what makes it unique?
Francois, the big five. Lake WHK, Lake Guinas. We have the privilege of Aigamas with the blind catfishes. We have Dragon's Breath, and so many more. So, first, it's technically all depths. The shallowest part in Lake WHK is about 30 odd meters. It goes down to 50, 60 meters where the cannons are lying, and people already got depths of over 80 meters there. Guinas, beautiful, nice ledges. The bottom is around about 105 meters of depth. Dragon's Breath, the best. It is a full cave. You have to climb down. You have to have a single rope technique. You have to be a certified cave diver, and you climb through this hole from 0 to 60 meters up, where you hit the water surface, and then you go down to the bottom for another 50 meters. And 2 years ago, we got a dive up to 105 meters there. Water visibility and clarity is the best. It's 10 times better than the cleanest swimming pool you ever swim in. So, and then the stalactites. The stalactites, stalagmites, it's like diving in the dinosaur area.
Dragon's Breath. I mean, world-renowned underwater ground cave. What makes it different? What makes it unique for any diver that you will say from across the globe to come here?
Once again, unfortunately, or fortunately for us, this is the second biggest lake in the whole world. I think the biggest one is in the northern atmosphere, and Dragons is in the southern atmosphere. The problem with it, you need to be a certified cave diver to have the certain techniques. And the other difficult part of it is you need to be able to do dry caving. You have to climb through this 0 to 60 meters through about 4 or 5 different ledges and chokes and maneuvers to come down, and then only you can do the dive. The problem is equipment. To get equipment in and to get equipment out, and then if in case of an emergency, how do we get our people out if there's a medical emergency? So, but all the effort is worth the while. It is the most beautiful diving site ever, and we have the privilege to have it in our own Namibia. So.
Steph, a second last question from my side. Do you think Namibia can offer tourism advantages for extreme tourism or extreme sport?
Once again, Francois, it's extreme. The qualifications, to get the qualifications, you won't have that within a year in your diving career. So once you have this, yes, it is doable. It is really the best dive sites, and with more people from overseas or wherever, it is available. They can contact us, and we do excursions. But the qualification and the effort is definitely worth the while.
I'm also looking through the pictures, and I mean, looking at the stalagmites, the stalactites, the water clarity, obvious photographer's dream.
About 2 years ago, we were also in Dragons, and in the last 2 years, the water level have risen by nearly 25 odd meters. So, as we call it, the dome where the stalactites are hanging from, suddenly the water have rise, and now it's covered with water. So now you could only see about 25-30 meters out from the surface, and suddenly you're diving between this stalactites. It's superb. It's undescribable. It's wow.
Steph, my last question to you. You just mentioned 2 questions earlier. If anybody wants to dive, they can contact you. Contact details, please.
Contact details: Dantika Diving as well as WHK Diving. Myself, Stefan and Chris Steenkamp. We have a joint venture. We call ourselves a Namibian Technical, and with the equipment and stuff, we just do a joint venture, and we host anyone with the correct experience and qualifications in Namibia.
Do people need to bring their own equipment if they come from outside the borders of Namibia? Can you provide?
Francois, we do have equipment, basic equipment like Chris have mentioned, snorkels, all that stuff we do have. And then specialized equipment, we also provide that. Usually the people bring certain stuff with. We are also the only 2 guys that can do mixed gas, mixed blending, and so we can provide from A to Z your need for Namibia, any technical dive.
I know I said my last question. I'm going to put you on the spot. A highlight. What was your highlight in your diving career so far?
Most probably Dragon's Breath. It is a small percentage or a small amount of people in the whole wild world which can have the entrance or the access to dive the lake. And I think if I have 2 hands and my 10 feet toes, I don't think there's even 30 people that have dived this lake. So it's a real wow, and suddenly now, since the water has risen, it's a better wow.